Illinois, which has one of the lowest credit ratings among U.S. states, has been clawing its way back into the good graces of investors. It has earned at least 9 credit rating upgrades in the last 3 years, pulling back from the brink of junk near the start of the pandemic. A lot of that progress is owed to the Treasurer, Michael Frerichs, the state's chief investment and banking officer. I'm pleased to say that Michael now joins us in studio. Welcome to Bloomberg.
Happy to be here. I can't take all of that credit. We had a new governor. We had a General Assembly that were committed to passing balanced budgets. And it's amazing how much good balanced budgets year after year can do for a state.
Okay, so let's go on that, because clearly there are lots of steps required in kind of bringing Illinois back from the brink. What do you think was the single most important thing that Illinois did to restore its standing?
Yeah, I think we had a previous governor who was intent on pushing a personal agenda. He held the state hostage. We went 2 years without a budget. Had a backlog of unpaid bills up to $16.5 billion. Really had 9 credit downgrades or so. Since our new governor, J.B. Pritzker, has come in, he's been committed to balancing budgets, paying extra payments into the pension system, and we've been rewarded with, I think, now 9 credit upgrades, and that backlog of bills has been paid down.
You've been rewarded with those credit upgrades. You haven't necessarily been rewarded with regards to the premium that you still have to pay to investors, which is kind of curious. I mean, you're still at a 63 basis point spread over AAAs right now, which is actually worse than some of the states, including one next door to us here in New York, that actually have a lower credit rating than you. What's going on?
I don't know. I think there's some effort to set an example with Illinois, but we're going in the right direction. I tell people we didn't get into this problem overnight.
Right.
We're not going to get out of it overnight.
Right.
And it's just like any relationship. It takes a while to rebuild trust.
But a lot of that broken trust, that was, quite frankly, almost decades in the making. And obviously, I know a lot of this predates you here. But there were pension obligations, there were fiscal decisions that were, in hindsight, completely ill-advised here. How do you sort of repair that trust in a way that you're not going to get a repeat of that when, say, a new administration comes in for Pritzker or for some of the local municipalities?
Yeah. It takes years of commitment to fiscal responsibility to rebuild that trust. You know, when I came into office, we're in charge of college savings programs. We had one of the worst rated programs in the country. I had people all the time say, I don't trust the state of Illinois to manage my kids' college savings fund. We came in, we cut fees in half, we changed the investment lineup, we made big changes. We got rewarded with ratings upgrades from Morningstar, and then after a few years, we saw that trust returning. Now, we've now grown from about 350,000 accounts to over 900,000 accounts. We've grown from about $7 billion in assets under management to over $20 billion. But it doesn't happen overnight.
You talk about this fiscal responsibility that Illinois and the states have to do in order to balance their budgets. What can federal officials, what can Congress learn from treasurers and state officials about how to balance politics and spending decisions, because it's not happening?
I think they can learn from Illinois over the last 6 years what to do, and from Illinois the previous 4 years what not to do. Unfortunately, Congress has chosen to act like our previous governor and to hold responsible budgeting hostage to their own personal agendas. You know, businesses, states, they crave continuity, they crave certainty, they like to make long-term plans, and when Congress continues to kick the can down the road, month after month, this latest 3-month extension doesn't provide the certainty and the security we need.
You talk about what Congress has been able to do. One thing they did do in the last couple of years was pass the Inflation Reduction Act. And I'm curious to hear from you what impact that's had on Illinois' pension funds.
Yeah, so I am a trustee on one of our pension funds, but with our state funds, we also invest in things like venture capital and infrastructure. I have 2 funds, up to 5% of our portfolio to invest there, and we've found a lot of opportunities come about because of the IRA.
Specifically?
Specifically in the energy transition. There are credits out there. There's been a wealth of capital flowing into here. I think by one account, over $220 billion into clean energy. And we see opportunities in the state of Illinois, whether it be with a company like Renewance working on battery issues, or energy transitions like a company like Nexamp that we've invested in. And we're getting good returns. We're helping create jobs in the state and helping, I think, with our environment as well.
I am curious on the infrastructure side, too. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about certain improvements that need to be made. I know earlier this year, the city of Chicago voted on some debt proposals to revamp O'Hare Airport and a few other things here. When you see those types of projects here, do you think that is, I guess, good fiscal policy given the added debt load given how much they've worked to actually reduce that debt load?
I think it depends if you secure that with new source of revenue, if you can back that up and give the market guarantees you're going to pay that. Investing in infrastructure, I think, pays off good dividends. But you have to be smart about how you do it, smart about the projects you invest in.
But do you have a sense, though, because the idea is we know the investment needs to be made. What's the return? Are you raising fees, or do you end up one of these cockamamie ideas where they're selling off our parking spaces to, whatever, Eaton Vance, Merrill Lynch, whatever it was?
Have you been to Chicago and paid for parking on the street?
Yes.
You're familiar with that deal?
Yes, I am.
It's not good.
And it's probably more expensive than parking in a lot some days.
Some days it is. So that was a bad deal.
Yes.
We're not engaging in those kind of things of selling off assets to pay off operating costs or something.
Yeah.
So what we have is we got permission from the General Assembly to invest up to 5% of our state portfolio in Illinois-based infrastructure projects. And we think that we're making good investments. We're already seeing good returns. And that's the way to do it, rather than to take on additional debt for these projects.